Good evening and welcome to the Akoria Racing League F1 2021 Esports League. We are into round 3 now, racing at Emilia. Last week's race was at Bahrain, and we can have a look at the quali results. Sebi qualifying in first place with 1:26.623, only 6 hundredths ahead of Venom. It was a very close quali session. IMTJ in third with a .123 extra, such a satisfying number, and only 5 thousandths ahead of Marcus, who started in fourth place, and Humid in fifth with a plus 276. So a very close quali. It was a good quali. It was a decent race as well. The race, of course, had a little bit of last lap drama, which is always great to watch for us there. But it did lead to a little bit of a drama and quite a difficult decision for the stewards. IMTJ and Venom coming together on the last lap when after Jarvis and IMTJ had a little bit of contact while fighting wheel to wheel. But in the end, IMTJ came away with a 2-point penalty, but that does not change the results of the race itself. So Jarvis finished in first place once again, IMTJ in second again once again, and Humid in third once again. Those three have shared the podium both times in that order so far in the season. Sebi in fourth place, Venom in fifth, Moz in sixth, Marcus in seventh, Aphrodox in eighth, and Deadpool, the last of the finishers, in ninth place. Deadpool taking it easy, making sure he finished the race, and trying to work on his racecraft. Humid got the fastest lap at Bahrain, and Jarvis was the driver of the day. So having a look at the team standings as they are, Mercedes out in front with 60 points. Williams in second now with 48 points. Those two swapping positions. Aston Martin sitting in third place with 39 points. Alfa Romeo 15 points in fourth place. Alpine in fifth place with 12 points. Then AlphaTauri, McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, and Haas. As for the drivers, as you can see, Jarvis sitting at the top of the table, IMTJ in second, Humid in third. Those three having shared the podium in that order twice so far. Humid with one fastest lap this season, Aphrodox with the other fastest lap this season, sitting in fourth position with 15 points, G-Funk 12 points in fifth, Sebi in sixth place, not having a great season so far, but sixth place, 12 points, so not terrible. Venom in seventh, Moss in eighth, Marcus in ninth, Deadpool in 10th. Then we have Potty, KQ, Microstatic, his curse unfortunately keeping him from scoring any points. Quinton Berry, who has retired from the season due to connection issues. Griever, who has not been able to race with us due to various technical difficulties, including his wheel just not working and him waiting for a new one. Swayze, Shifty, D2A1 down to 17th. Gur, Sketchy Dude, and Arc, our top 20. So that's how the drivers are looking at the moment. We are racing at Imola today, and here goes the track intro. Located in the Emilia Romagna province of Italy. This is a historic Grand Prix, so you'll notice that it's very technical, it's very narrow, and there are lots of very slow, interesting corners all around it, obviously famous for being the death place of Ayrton Senna. 4.9 Ks long, 19 turns, 1 DRS zone. It is a very interesting track, and the guys finding that out as D2A1 crashes out already. So we're going to hop straight across to quali, and you can see the stricken Ferrari there. It just did a whole barrel roll. Unfortunately we missed it, but welcome to the quali session. So no one has set a lap just yet, but I'm sure we will see the laps start coming in very shortly. Okay, so while I just get all the chat and stream overlays up, please give me a second. And to those of you joining us on the Ikoria Twitch channel, expecting to see Crispy Crunch, unfortunately he wasn't able to make it today, so I will be hosting today's race on the Twitch channel. So welcome, and welcome to Crispy Crunch. So yeah, thanks to Ikoria for giving me this opportunity to host on their channel as well. And let's head back to the race. Alrighty, so we have a couple of times in place already. Venom and the Mercedes with a 1:15.840. Putty in second place at the moment with a 1:16.706, so doing fairly well in McLaren. Sebi in third place, not the best lap he's set so far with a 1:17.049. So Sebi not doing as well as he normally does. Deadpool on a lap, Mars on the lap as well. Mello joining us for this race in the second Alpine. Jarvis goes up to second place of 1:15.984. So let's see what he can do. Obviously doing very well this season. Let's hope he can carry that momentum. We're following Mello around the final couple of corners, the Ravazza corners, down towards the start finish line, and crosses. Does not have a lap time, so that was a failed lap. We have Aphrodox retiring as well. It looks like he crashed coming out of Tosa corner. IMTJ currently on an out lap. You can see the stricken Alfa Romeo of Aphrodox there. Looks like he just overcooked it on the exit of Tosa and spun into the wall. The wall's here quite close by today's standards. There is obviously enough gravel on the course to protect the drivers from any sort of massive harm. At least that's the idea. But with the cars traveling as fast as they are, there is always going to be the risk of a heavy impact, especially on the inside of certain of these corners. This being a historical track, a lot of the corners are named, so I'm going to take you through them as TJ comes through the Ravazza corners onto the pit straight, which is actually also known as, on the MotoGP course, there is actually a chicane over here. Obviously with the Formula 1 course we don't have a chicane here. This first chicane is turns 2, 3 and 4. There's a kink just at the end of the pit straight, which is turn 1. This is the Variante Tamburello. The next chicane, which is this one coming up, is the Variante Villeneuve. So if you hear me refer to the Villeneuve chicane, that's the one that we've just gone through. Tosa is this little hairpin at the end of the first sector. Going into the second sector, this little kink over here is turn 8 apparently, and turn 9 is the Piratella. That's what we've just gone through here. Turn 10 down towards Acqua Minerale, which is 11, 12 and 13 that we've just gone through. The next little chicane, you can see we're moving across the left hand side to go into the right of the chicane. It takes a lot of curb there. That's through the Variante Alta, turns 14 and 15. Then this sweeping corner here isn't a corner, but this one is, and that's turn 16 back into the Ravazza onto the or the Ravazza is this double corner, and then onto the pit straight, which is barely straight. That's turn 19, and then turn 1 is this last bit over here as IMTJ goes up to third place with 1:16.406. So let's go back to Venom. He obviously set the first fastest lap of the session. Jarvis is currently holding the fastest lap with 1:15.636. Venom on his out lap at the moment, so we'll follow him around, and as he starts his lap, follow him around on the lap and see what he can do. Looks like there was a little bit of lag there, so Venom lagging a small amount. Let's hope that doesn't get too bad. Looked like it was mostly rubber banding, so not teleporting across the track, which can become a real problem. So we'll just keep an eye on that, as well as some of the other guys, but everyone seems to be running around the track with a decent ping today, a decent amount of latency. So let's follow Venom around on this lap as he comes out of the Ravazza onto the pit straight, crosses the line and starts through turn 1, gets right up to that wall. Turn 2 takes a little bit of the curb, you could hear it there, into the Variante Tamburello chicane. Takes it nice and quickly, carries a lot of speed. You can see how fast he is coming down towards the Villeneuve chicane. Through here, taking a lot of curb, almost hitting those sleeping policemen, but not quite, which is exactly what you want to do. Those things can unsettle your car quite badly. As he comes through Tosa, takes a lot of curbing on the outside, which is exactly what you want to do. You want to maximize the track, get your car as straight as possible, as quickly as possible, so you can get the power down. Through Paratella and down towards ARL, this is one of the most difficult sections of the track. This little weird right-hander has a little bit of a dip at its apex, and if you hit it too hard, it is so easy to spin. Venom definitely not doing that at the moment, taking a lot of curbing through the Alta chicane down towards the Ravazza once again. This looks like a very good lap so far. Let's see what he can do through here. Doesn't take as much curb on the outside there as he could. Also quite slow through the second part of the Ravazza. Maybe trying to make sure that he does complete this lap and goes to the top of the time. 4/10 up from his teammate Jarvis. So that was a great lap by Venom, and definitely showing why he is at the top of the times at the moment. IMTJ has invalidated this lap, so we'll follow him around, see if he's got enough fuel for another lap. It looks like Putty in the McLaren, Afriki in the Red Bull, and Deadpool are all on laps, but we'll follow TJ, see what he does. He pops into the pits, so let's hop across to Deadpool and see how he does. This looks like the end of a lap. His tires do look fairly worn. And he crosses the line with a 120.832. So just making sure he gets a lap on the board, and he will probably push a little bit more on the next lap now that he knows he has a lap on the board. Afriki going off the track, going very slowly. Mechanical failures aren't a thing in multiplayer, so that was a decision, maybe trying to cool his tires, maybe spun a little bit. So Afriki definitely not on a lap. Putty at the moment heading down towards the Ravazza behind a Mercedes, which will probably get out of the way. There it goes. Putty going towards the start-finish line and goes up to 4th place. So Putty putting in a very good lap there with a 116.376. But McLaren going into 4th place, very good lap. Let's see what he can do with that when we get into the later quali sessions. So Afriki is currently, looks like he's pushing quite hard, throwing that Red Bull into that corner, taking a lot of the exit curb and a little bit of the gravel with him. So not a clean lap so far. Doesn't take much of the curb on the outside of Tosa, but heads down towards Paratella. Still looks like he's pushing, but it does look like the McLaren behind him is catching up a little bit. That was quite wide there, and he has pulled out of the lap. So let's see. It's Putty that was behind him. Is Putty still on lap? Looks like he's taking quite a lot of the track, so either he is pushing to get back into the pits as soon as possible, or otherwise he is actually on another lap. He is throwing their car around the corners, and that is generally a decent way to tell if someone is actually on a lap. Boosted also looks like he is on a lap in the other Red Bull, currently in 10th place with a 116.850, so he's looking to try and secure his position in Q2. Obviously just needing to go up to 8th to absolutely secure his position, or not absolutely, but to make his position a little bit more secure. Heading down towards Accamonarale, throws the car in, doesn't hit the apex. Oh, and that is why he did lose it a little bit. Doesn't go into the wall, manages to stop it just before the wall, so will be able to try again, but those tires are likely shot, especially with the spin flick that he's had to do. So boosted back onto track. You can see how hot those tires are by just how much he's sliding around. Back on the track, and will probably be looking. Oh, and there he goes again. So those tires are very definitely cooked, and you can see how little traction the cars have when those tires are overheating. It's a very similar thing when they're underperforming as well, as far as their temperature is concerned. These Pirelli tires are very difficult to keep in the window. So Boosted and Deadpool currently going very slowly. Let's hope they get out of the way of Afriki, who does look like he's still on a lap. Goes very wide out of Variante Alta, but oh, and now slows down. So is he gearing up for a lap possibly? It does look like he is. He'll push it from here. Ooh, doesn't get a great exit out of the Ravazza, but is going to go for the lap anyway, so let's follow him around the track. So heading down towards the Tamburello chicane, 4 minutes left of the session, so there is definitely still time for people to come out and set another lap. But as we stand, Afriki, the only one on the track, heading down towards the Villeneuve chicane, obviously sitting in 11th place, needing to make up 3 seconds. So Afriki not actually setting a representative time, currently only 2.7 tenths up. So didn't lose the time to 10th place in the first sector. So let's see how he does through the second sector. Oh, that is very wide. Does lift enough for the game not to invalidate his lap. Down into Accomunarale. Gets through there, very wide again, once again having to lift it to make sure that the game does not invalidate his lap. Only 5 tenths up of on his previous time, so he must have lost time in the third sector on his previous run. So let's see how he does here, heading down towards the Ravazza. Obviously this is a very short track, or relatively short track, 1 minute 16 seconds. There is very little time for you to make mistakes. Once again, very wide, snap of oversteer, doesn't get quite a straight exit, and only a 118.194, so not happy with that. Looks like he's pushing for another lap, but it does look like he is running out of ERS as well. You can see the recharge light flashing all the way along. Throws himself through the Tamburello chicane and back down towards the Villeneuve chicane. Through here, oh, that is not what he wants to do, and loses it, going through Villeneuve chicane, loses part of his front wing, and that will be the end of this run. Yeah, 4.6 seconds up, and with damage, definitely will not be going for another run. 2 minutes to go, not enough time to get back to the pits, get a new wing, and get back out there. So this will likely be the end of Afriki's quali session, and that puts him in 11th place outside of the bubble. Ooh, quite a bad little jolt of lag there, so Afriki will need to just double check his connection, and let's see what happens. Alrighty, so as we come towards the end of the session, 13 seconds to go. Afriki still out there, but this is actually a bot driving around at the moment, which is why it doesn't seem to be at all affected by the wing damage. Afriki is having a little bit of a problem with the controller. His profile seems to have switched, and his downshift seems to have changed to a different key. It is a bug that we have been experiencing in F1 2021 since the previous update. It's a new bug, unfortunately, which is not ideal, but it is something. Yeah, it is something that is becoming quite a problem. Okay, so at the end of Q1, we have Venom in first place with a 115.271. Jarvis with a 115.636, 3 tenths behind his teammates. So Venom setting a very good time there. IMTJ in third place with a 116.148. Porty and Mello make up the rest of the top 5. Sebi, Humid, Slick, Moz, and Boosted make up the top 10. Afriki, Deadpool, and D2A1 down to 14th, and Aphrodox in 15th. D2A1 and Aphrodox not setting lap times due to DNFs, both of them spinning out. So let's see how the top guys managed to do in Q2 as we head into it now, or soon at least. So our lobby appears to have crashed once again, which seems to be becoming a more and more common occurrence. So we're going to have to try and drop out and see what happens. So please give us a moment while we rehost. We're going to rehost with a short quali to keep it going. But yeah, since the last update, we have had so many lobby issues. It's actually been crazy. So please hold for a sec while we rehost, and we will be right back. Alrighty, the guys are already joining back up, so we should be underway fairly soon. Yes, the race is on. We just had a lobby desync. Once again, unfortunately, it is becoming a very common thing with the game. But we will be up and running in a couple of moments. We are just waiting for the guys to reconnect, and then we will be underway. We were running a full quali, however, with the desync, we're going to have to shorten it down to a short quali. Guys are going to do the quick run, and then we are going to go into the race once that's done. Hopefully, things behave this time, and we can get going. Alrighty, we're all back in, waiting for the guys to ready up, so we will be underway very shortly. 30-second countdown has started. And here we go. Thanks for your patience. We will now go into a short quali. So this session means everything, and everyone will be pushing as hard as they possibly can. Obviously, the tires that you end this session with, or the tires you set your fastest time on, are the tires that you start the race with. So everyone will be keeping their strategies in mind, as well as trying to push as hard as they possibly can to get to the front of the pack. It can often be better to start in the top 10 on non-ideal tires rather than starting outside of it and on whatever option you'd like. However, you will see some people will prefer to stay outside of the top 10 to get that tire choice and try and push long into the race. Or otherwise they'll go on to if they're pushing along into the race, you'll see them choose the mediums or the hards when they start the race. Otherwise, they might be hoping for an early safety car, and then you'll see them go with the soft tires. So starting outside of the top 10 does have its advantages, but we will see how the guys do. So one of the McLarens first out, it looks like it is Potty, first out of the garage. And then it looked like, what was that? Let's get the map up so we can just see what's going on. So it looks like everyone is starting to come out of the pits now. Potty will be the first around the track just to see how it is. Obviously, the track will have lost whatever rubber was put down in the last session. So this is a brand new session. Obviously, the rubber is gone, so you will see slower lap times than you did at the end of the last session. So Potty, the first out there, Aphrodoc's second, and they will be the first to set laps. We have a Mercedes and an Alpine a little bit further back, then the Ferrari. I do believe that is D2A1, the second Alpine there as well. Humid is now on an outlap as well in Aston Martin, and then looks like pretty much everyone is coming out. Only the second Ferrari of Slick not out on the track at the moment. So Humid a little bit close to Potty ahead of him. Might be looking to pass him early on in the lap, but is way too close for a quali lap. So let's see how this pans out as they head onto the pit straight and down towards the Tamburello chicane. So Aphrodoc's still right on top of Potty as they head into the Tamburello chicane. Potty manages to get through there without any incident. Aphrodoc's, however, possibly affected by that dirty air off the McLaren ahead, has spun coming out of the chicane as Potty goes through the Villeneuve chicane and through Tosa now. Takes Tosa nice and wide, but ends up spinning into the wall, has lost part of his front wing, and that is the end of the run for the McLaren. So let's see who else is next. We have the Mercedes of Venom. Venom, one of the top two before we had to rehost the session. So let's follow him around as he goes through Tosa, manages to get through it without any incident, and heads down towards the Piratella. Piratella, this left-hander, is nice and quick, gets through there, heads down towards Aquaminarale, which is very technical, very weird uphill right-hander. You can see how much that little dip at the apex actually affected the back wheel there as he heads down towards Variante Alta. Gets through there, possibly not as quick as he may have wanted. It sounded like he had to lift quite a lot to get through there properly. Down into the double left-handed. How's it, Big Fudge? Welcome to the stream. And unfortunately, Venom has now invalidated his lap, so he will have to go through for one again as soon as possible. Aphrodoc's has started his next lap, setting the first time of the session, even with that spin, a 128.598. First representative times coming in. Sebi up in first place with a 117, but immediately dethroned by his teammate Mello. Let me fix the game sound. Apologies for that. That should sort it out. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. Big Fudge, I'm actually doing pretty well. Thanks for asking. How are you doing, buddy? So, Humid now goes to the top of the time with 115.196. Jarvis in second place in the Mercedes with 115.532. So, two of the title protagonists at the top of the quali session. Everyone pushing as hard as they can. Boosted now, popping up to third place, beating Mello's time as well with a 116.588. Mello spinning into the sand trap, avoiding the wall, managing to avoid the wall as he tries to go through Aquaminarale. So, Mello, if he was on the lap, will have to abandon that. Comes back out onto the track in front of the Aston Martin of Humid, but I don't feel like Aston Martin, the Humid, is going to be on a lap, although he does pass him fairly quickly. Moz is definitely on lap as he comes down towards the Ravazza. Goes through there, doesn't look like he's carrying as much speed as he could. Had a very V-shaped run through there. Not a bad shape to try and make there, but not as fast as he otherwise could. 151.508, so he may have been gearing up for this next lap. So we'll follow him around on this track as he heads down towards the Tamburello chicane. Throws himself through there, doesn't take as much curbing as we've seen some of the other guys do, but enough to keep a lot of speed going onto this little straight down towards the Villeneuve chicane. Ooh, did not look like he was comfortable going through there. Missed the second apex, but that could have been from the dirty air from the Ferrari. Goes through Tosa, nice and wide through on the exit of the corner, up towards Piratella. Takes a nice amount of curb both on the inside and the outside, heading now down towards Aquaminarale, where we've seen a couple of people spin already. doesn't look like he was 100% comfortable, not taking quite as much curving on the outside as he possibly could have, as he comes up to the Alfa Romeo of Aphrodite into the Variante Alta. Aphrodite getting out of the way nicely. Yeah, there it is. Does allow Moss to get through there quite quickly down into the double left-hander just before the pit straights. Let's see what he can do. Takes a lot of curb there. Does have to lift to make sure the game doesn't invalidate his lap. Onto the pit straight and crosses the line only up into 9th place. So Moz not feeling comfortable in the car, not feeling it as he runs around this track. And I'm sure he will want to try and come out again a little bit later to get a better lap. So in the meantime, Potty, who actually showed his pace in the first quali session that we had, is now back out on track without a lap time. So I imagine this will be a push lap. It doesn't say out lap next to his name, so I'm hoping this is a push lap as he goes through Tosa and towards the Pertella. Throws himself into the left-hander quite nice and smooth, so not throwing himself through the corners as much as he possibly could, but taking a lot of curbing on the inside and the outside to try and make up for it. A little bit too much curbing there, would have had to lift. The game has not invalidated the lap, so it's still on. Does get a fastest middle sector according to the game, so that's probably his fastest middle sector rather than the fastest middle sector because of the glitch in the game. Heads down towards the double left-hander. Let's see how he takes it. Looked like a fairly decent line. Did spend some time on the curb of the little in-between. And goes up to 4th position. So once again showing that he does actually have some pace in that McLaren of his, going up to 4th place with a 1:16.050. So if we look at the gaps, there we go. We have quite a large gap between a lot of the players. Humid with his 1:15.196 quite firmly out in front, currently on an outlap, so obviously thinking he can go a little bit quicker as he goes through the double left-hander. Doesn't look like he was 100% comfortable there, but getting all the way to the outside of the track, looking at getting a very straight run through this first corner and down towards the Tamburello chicane. So Humid 1:15.196, Jarvis with a 0.336 behind him. Venom in the other Mercedes 0.623 back. Potty the last person within a second of Humid's fastest time. Aphrodite 1.008, so just outside of that second gap as Humid invalidates his lap and backs out. So he will be trying to recharge the battery, save some fuel, and will likely go ahead once again. Aphrodite spinning out, not liking this track, and you can tell coming out of Acqua Minerale, spinning out, doesn't look like there's too much wing damage, so he might go immediately once again. It actually shows him on an outlap, so that may have just been on an outlap, which if you're going to spin out, that's probably the best time to do it. So heading down towards the double left-hander once again with traffic coming through here. Hopefully they are going into the pits. Deadpool now retiring from the session through Acqua Minerale. It looks like he spun, overcooked it a little bit and spun towards the inside. Aphrodite once again right behind another car, this time the Ferrari. Previously it was a McLaren. So let's see how he does through the Tamburello chicane. Throws the car through there and is now even closer to that Ferrari ahead. So that is going to be something to keep in mind as they go through the Villeneuve chicane. Doesn't look like he's struggling too much with the dirty air this time, so maybe getting comfortable with it. Gets a fast first sector, at the very least a fastest of his own, right on top of the Ferrari now. So the Ferrari is going to be slowing him down, especially as they go through there. It does very definitely look like he is right on top of that Ferrari and does have the pace over the Ferrari, but unfortunately no weight past here. Both of them on fast laps, and so they are not obliged to give each other room. They are racing through the Variante Alta. Aphrodite getting ahead of the Ferrari finally and heading down towards the double left-hander. Let's see if that has compromised his time or added maybe due to the slipstreams. Goes through the first and second of the Ravazza left-handers up towards the start-finish line, and Aphrodite does go third fastest despite the amount of holding up he was done by that Ferrari. So that is a cracker of a lap by Aphrodite. Well done, going up to third place despite being held up by D2A1, who was also on the lap. Looks like he's going on a second lap as well, possibly feeling like he could do better in the third sector where he was fighting with Aphrodite for track position. But we will head across to the other Ferrari of Slick. Slick is currently sitting in 8th place with 116.429, currently on an outlap, but getting close to the double left-hander that leads on to the pit straight. So let's see what he can do. Currently on an invalidated lap, but that's not too bad since it is an outlap. Looks like he carried a decent amount of speed through there and pushes across the start-finish line to start his race through turn 1. This one doesn't count. Into the Tamburello chicane, turns 2, 3, and 4 is this left-hander here. Through the Villeneuve chicane. It looks like he threw that car in very nicely. The car responding quite a lot. It looks like it's quite an on-the-nose setup, which can be very good, but it does mean that you do have to watch the rear end. Possibly it's accelerating a little bit later than some of the others, but he will have a very good turn, and in certain places here that is very important. As he goes through Perutella, takes it very wide, will have had to lift on the curbing there to avoid invalidating his lap. Going up and invalidates his lap this time through Aquaminerale, not lifting enough as he goes onto the curbs. So Porti is on another lap. I do believe he was the other person on an outlap just now when we switched across to Slick. So let's see as he goes down towards Perutella if he can keep it within track limits. Does keep it nicely within track limits, but that means he's not using as much of the track as he otherwise could have. D2A1, I do believe, was that Ferrari that got out of the way very nicely. Porti won't have been affected by that dirty air because of how far he got out of the way, and you can see it with a 7.6 tenths advantage over his previous time. So Porti putting in a good lap will take him up into the top 5 again, if I'm not very much mistaken. Heads down through the Ravazza double left-hander. Ooh, looked very wide there, but somehow doesn't invalidate his lap. Crosses the finish line up into 3rd position, so that is a cracker. Kept the 7/10 advantage that he had at the end of the 2nd sector, so very good lap by Porti. IMTJ, one of our title protagonists, is now heading down towards the Villeneuve chicane. Slick has retired coming out of Tosa, so we will ride on board with IMTJ. We should be able to see Slick on the left. Looks like he overcooked it on the exit and ended up on the left-hand side of the track. Unfortunately, his car was cleared as we came around the corner, so we didn't see how bad the damage was, but IMTJ is on an outlap, not too bad. Takes the entrance there a little bit too wide and goes wide through the corner as well. Completely misses the apex. Through Aquaminerale, up the hill, doesn't take too much curbing. Will probably start recharging his battery now, getting ready for the next lap, making sure his tires are at the right temperature, cooling them down if necessary. And now heading towards the double left-hander. That is the final real corner of race. You can take this in a single sweeping movement if you are going far enough, if you are carrying enough speed. IMTJ deciding to lift off so that he can get as good an exit out of that corner as possible, and let's see if it has helped him. Starts the lap, DRS wide open, heading down towards the Tamburello chicane. Aphrodite on the right hand side will get out of the way very quickly. That was a nice move to get out of the way there, not end up on the pit line, the racing line, which the pit line releases you onto. IMTJ gets towards the Villeneuve chicane. Right after the Villeneuve chicane is the end of the 1st sector, so we'll be able to see how he's doing as he comes across the line now. 2.7 tenths up on his previous time, so IMTJ currently in 4th place. 2 tenths up will put him above Porti and possibly within striking distance of Humid if he can keep those gains going. Obviously the track quite well rubbered up now, and that will give people more grip through the corners, allow them to carry a little bit more speed. Aphrodite bringing out the yellow flag behind him. IMTJ going in across the timing line, 3 tenths up now. That will put him ahead of Humid and in striking distance of Venom. So IMTJ putting in a very good lap here. Only 2 corners, real corners left to go as he comes down towards the Ravazza. will want to throw the car in as hard as possible. Nice smooth curve there, doesn't take too much curving on the exit, which means you can get a little bit more acceleration out of there. Crosses the line up into second place, only a thousandth behind Venom. That was a great lap, but just not enough to put him in first place, a thousandth of a second back. And he is going to be livid as anyone would be with that that small of a gap. So we will see Venom on an outlap, Humid on an outlap. So we'll follow them around. Humid warming his tires a little bit as he heads down towards the Ravazza. His teammate Moz is behind him going through the double left-hander. So I wonder if they are looking at possibly doing a tow across the line. Moz looks like he's now going fast, so it does look like he's just on a lap. Humid, having made some space, is now about to start his. We will follow Humid around on this lap. Once again, getting all the way to the outside of the pit straight so that he can get a straight run through those first couple of corners, only one of them numbered, into the Tamburello chicane. 2, 3, 4, nice and quick, carrying a lot of speed through. That car looks firmly attached to the ground. Goes through the Villeneuve chicane once again, looking very responsive, but invalidates on the outside of the exit of the Villeneuve chicane. That is not ideal, and then just to add insult to injury, gets a massive snap of oversteer coming out of Tosa. So his lap is definitely ruined. We will, however, follow Moz around. Moz, remember, sitting in 9th position currently, not seeming to feel as comfortable with the car as we have seen him previously. Going through the Alta chicane, looks like he does look a little bit more comfortable this lap than he did last lap. So let's see what he does as he comes. Unfortunately, we've missed all the timing lines, so we'll only know if he is doing a little bit better as he goes through the Ravazza double left-hander onto the pit straight. Crosses the line now and stays in 9th place. 2/10 up on his previous time, but unfortunately not enough. So we have a couple of people out still on the track. We have Venom, the next person looking to cross the line. 2/10 up on his previous time. So Venom looking to entrench his position at the top of the timing table as he heads down here. Possibly preferring these tires as well. May have... Obviously, with the track having rubber in, it means that they won't have worn quite as much, but that is not the way to end the lap. Goes through, takes a little bit too much curb, and spins around. So the next person on the track is the Red Bull of Boosted. Let's follow him. He goes into the pit lane, so he's not going to finish that lap. INPJ, the last person around the double left-hander, crosses the line. IMTJ goes to the top of the times with a 1:15 flat. That is about as satisfying as it gets. 1:15 flat, the fastest time of the session. Well done to IMTJ for getting that. 87 thousandths ahead of Venom after being 1 thousandth behind. Well done on that lap. Alrighty, so we have IMTJ at the top of the timing table with a 1:15 flat. Venom behind him, only 87 thousandths behind. Humid, 1.9 tenths back. And apparently everyone is ready to go, so let's get to it. All right, 17 seconds to the beginning of the race, and let's see how the guys do. Obviously, a very close quali session at the end there, so everyone will be trying to push as quickly as possible. It looks like there might be rain on the horizon as well, so this should be very interesting. Everyone will be trying to get through the first few laps as quickly as possible so that they don't have to go onto intermediates too quickly. IMTJ at the front, Venom in second place. Let's see how they get going. 5 lights are on and off they go. Nice quick start by IMTJ. Venom looks like he didn't get as good a start. Humid pulling up alongside him. Putty in the McLaren not getting a great start. Jarvis looks like he's going to take him as they go into the Tamburello chicane. Sounds like there was a little bit of contact, but doesn't look like anyone has spun out. Looks like everyone is through the Timberlake chicane. IMTJ out in front, Humid right on his heels. Venom and Jarvis, followed by Putty. Sebi looking at the inside of Putty. Putty missing the apex and going very wide there, losing a few positions. Boosted also losing a position to Moz. In the background, the two Mercedes side by side for a moment there, but IMTJ fighting off Humid, keeping him behind as they go through Peritella and down towards Aqua Minerale for the first time. Aqua Minerale, obviously a very difficult turn to get right, especially when you're under pressure, but IMTJ equal to it and Humid still behind. Looks like Sebi has spun going through Aqua Minerale, so he will want to get on track as quickly as possible. Let's see if there is any damage there on that Alpine. Looks like he might be... no, he should be fine. Doesn't look like he's got either end plate missing. Boosted losing another position in the Red Bull to the Ferrari of Slick this time. Slick making a double move, looking at Aphrodite. Aphrodite giving him just enough room on the outside and keeping the position in the process. Humid getting the fastest lap of the race, being the first lap. As long as he's at the front, he will get that fastest lap. And we go on to lap 2 without having lost any of the races. We'll see whether Sebi goes into the pit lane. No, he does not. So Sebi not running with damage. Aphrodite now losing a couple of positions as they go through the Tamburello chicane. So much going on further back, but Humid has now taken IMTJ at the front as well. We have our first yellow flag, and that is Deadpool retiring from the session, coming out of turn 4, may have got onto the gravel on the outside and lost it into the wall. So Deadpool, our first DNF, 2 laps into the race. That's really unfortunate for him, but out at the front, Humid is starting to create a gap to IMTJ. Will be trying to get outside of that 1 second ooh, that looks like a lot of oversteer, and that may be because the rain is coming down a little bit. So let's ride on board with Humid to see. I think we can just about see the raindrops. So I think the rain is starting, and those slick tires are not entirely happy with it. Everyone will be slowing down a little bit to try and survive this and get into the pits as soon as possible and onto those intermediate tires. No. Not Humid, not TJ, not Jarvis, not Venom. Mello also staying out, Oz staying out, Putty staying out. It doesn't look like anyone's really going to go in and gamble on the intermediates for now. Sebi also passing the pit lane. So everyone deciding that the slick tires are still the right choice at the moment. They might just be being a little bit more careful on the exits of the corner. As the rain starts coming down, we see Aphrodite drop back coming out of turn 4 as well. That's the same place that Deadpool retired. Aphrodite keeping it going this time. Let's go see if he has damage. It looks like he doesn't have a front wing, so he must have gone nose first into the wall, whereas Deadpool must have hit with one of his wheels. So Humid out in front, 1.1 seconds ahead. We will see at the end of this lap if DRS is enabled, but I really doubt it. Looking at the track, it looks like the track is getting quite wet, and you can see the guys struggling to get it slowed down there. You could see the lines in the wet of the track. So as we go around the Ravazza, you can see how wet it is. It is already quite damp on the track. You can see all the lines where people have been driving, and Humid going into the pits almost immediately. So we will very likely see everyone pop into the pits now to try and get onto those intermediate tires. Will we see anyone gamble to go onto the full wets? Let's have a look. And just as everyone's going in, we see the confirmation that the DRS has been disabled. That generally signifies that we are at the It looks like we are at the crossover point, so everyone looks like they have gone for the intermediate tires. Humid out at front, I'm TJ in second place, Jarvis in third, Mello in fourth. Venom looks like he lost a position to Mello in the pits due to the double stack. Potty in sixth, Moz in seventh. Not sure where he was running before, whether he's climbed or dropped. D2A1 losing a position to Sebi very early on. Looks like Sebi may have ghosted for a moment there, or was that D2A1 ghosting? I'm not entirely sure. D2A1 facing the wrong way, coming out of turn 4, so struggling a little bit there. Afrodox now coming out of the pits with those intermediates as well. Deadpool, sorry to see you go out on that same corner. Yeah, this track is really difficult just all around, and with the damp coming in, it must have been hectic. So Human out in front, 1.6 seconds up, and no DRS to help anyone catch up to him, but IMTJ will be looking to do exactly that. Jarvis going very wide coming out of the Variante Alta, but 1.2 seconds back. Mello now 4.1 seconds back from Jarvis, so creating a little Jarvis creating a little bit of breathing room between the front three and F1 beyond that. D2A1 now getting a 3-second penalty for track limits. It doesn't look like the rain is coming down too badly. It doesn't look like there's any standing water forming on the track, so not really time for full slicks yet. So everyone will keep going around on these intermediate tires as long as they possibly can, but once you start seeing standing water on the track, that is when people will start looking at the full wets. The full wets obviously designed to create a traction surface, whereas anything less than that or doesn't have as many grooves in it, and the grooves actually help the tires make a dent in the water. Jarvis now 0.8 seconds back from INTJ, so Jarvis more comfortable in the rain than IMTJ and trying to push to catch up to him. Mello still 4.3 seconds back, Venom 1.9 seconds back from him, Potty 1.7 seconds further back in 6th place, Moz in 7th, Slick in 8th, Boosted in 9th, Sebi in 10th place. Not doing so well at the moment, but we've seen Sebi in wet conditions, and Sebi does seem to thrive in them, so don't count him out just yet. You can already see that gap getting smaller, although it doesn't know what it's doing at the moment. 1.1 seconds though, from 2 seconds. He was 2 seconds behind just now, so Sebi much more comfortable in the rain than Boosted and making up some time. Boosted must have had a snap of oversteer or something, so he is now within the danger zone of Sebi. Jarvis now on the pit straight, 7/10 back as he tries to chase down the Williams. We've seen what happens when a Williams and Mercedes are racing in the rain at Emilia. Let's hope they can keep out of each other's side pods as they go through the Tamburello chicane and onto the little straight down towards the Villeneuve chicane. Venom in the other Mercedes is 1 second down, and Sebi is showing how comfortable he is in the wet. Was for a moment 3/10 behind, but unfortunately not quite close enough to make the pass on Boosted. So Sebi will be looking at every opportunity to try and get past that Red Bull and get into clean air where he can show what he's made of in the wet. Jarvis now 4/10 back from IMTJ, probably going to look at having a go at the Tamburello chicane. The Ravazza, this double left-hander, is not the ideal place to try and pass. Looks like Boosted may have lost Boosted has just lost the position to Sebi. Looks like he may have spun off the track and then rejoined, but by that point Sebi was already past. Jarvis now 4/10 behind. Let's go right on board as he tries to get as close to IMTJ as possible with the slipstream. 3/10 now, 3.5 down to 3/10. Will he try a lunge? No, he will not. Decides to keep it safe, just keep going. 2/10 down at the moment, and deciding that it's better to just keep that position for now. Sebi is now coming up to the back of Slick, so Sebi already making up the time to the next driver, the Ferrari of Slick. and will try and get past him as quickly as possible. On the back section of the track, there's not too many places where you can pass, so Sebi will probably be stuck there until the beginning of the next lap, but for now right on top of that Ferrari. Aphrodite in the meantime is fighting the other Ferrari. D2A1 looks like he may have spun. He did spin there. So D2A1 losing it, coming out of the Tamburello chicane, and Aphrodite making the most of it and going into the Villeneuve chicane alone. Sebi is now looking at a move through Aqua Minerale, gets it done well before, and Sebi now is up to 8th place. So once again, showing that he is incredibly comfortable in the wet. Now it's Moz next to go 4 seconds up the road. In the meantime, Jarvis now 5 or 6 tenths back from IMTJ, so a little bit further back than he was last lap. So unlikely that he'll be able to get past this time, and once again 3 tenths at the end of the straight. So not quite getting close enough, going through the double left-hander of Rivatsa. But that will not deter him. Jarvis will keep trying, I'm sure, every lap until he does eventually manage to get through. Meanwhile, Boosted in the Red Bull is trying to gain a couple more positions again. 3 tenths back from Slick, and that is D2A1 spinning once again, this time through the Variante Alta in 12th position, definitely struggling with the rain. Meanwhile, Slick has spun, the other Ferrari spinning in sympathy almost, coming out of turn 4, and Boosted going through into 9th place. So as we stand, we have Humid out in front, IMTJ in 2nd place, 2 seconds back. Jarvis fighting him, 7 tenths back. From IMTJ. Mello in 4th place, hasn't lost too much time, 4.6 seconds. Aphrodite getting a 3-second penalty for track limits. So Venom 1.4 seconds back from Mello, then Potty 4.4 seconds back. Obviously not as comfortable in the rain as he'd like to be, and quite far back from his opponent. Jarvis 7 tenths as we head through the Rivatsa, 6 tenths now. This might actually be close enough. He was 7 tenths back last lap, so let's see if he can get closer this time. They are probably both using a lot, no, not using ERS. So Jarvis 4 tenths back at the end of the straight, 2 tenths through the Tamburello chicane, and once again stuck behind IMTJ. 3 tenths back as they go through Villeneuve. IMTJ taking a much wider line into that second corner, and you can see how much time it actually gained him there. And Jarvis missing the apex of Tosa. So Jarvis not entirely comfortable in the second section of the track, and that is probably where he's losing the time and allowing IMTJ to keep that position. IMTJ not able to chase after Humid as much as he probably would want to due to the pressure from behind, but managing to keep the position just enough that when he gets onto that pit straight, he doesn't have too much to worry about. Jarvis now a second back after that poor first sector. So we'll be trying to push closer, and has pushed closer very quickly, maybe braking a little bit later than IMTJ, sacrificing a little bit more of his tires. Obviously these intermediate tires are decent for traction, but obviously braking in them is always quite difficult because of the wet. So 6 tenths this time. I don't think that's going to be close enough, but let's see what they do. Jarvis does not look like he's trying to get too much into the slipstream. Looks like he's trying to keep his head on this time and just keep with his own lap. 5 tenths back as they go into the Tamburello chicane. And you can see there wasn't even a thought of a lunge there. Not a great line through turn 4, but not losing time either. So let's see if he can keep it together through Villeneuve. Again, not taking as wide a line into the second part of the Villeneuve chicane as IMTJ is, and IMTJ making time up through through that section and down towards Tosa, but not as much as he did last time. Last time there was a second gap, now there's only 9 tenths. So Jarvis doing better in that section of the track this time, and let's see if he can pull even closer through Aqua Minerale, which is where he made up some time last time and makes up some time once again. We have a yellow flag. That is an Alpine, and that is Sebi going through Tosa, who loses it. How's it, Muzz? Welcome to the stream and thank you for joining me. So Sebi spinning, possibly pushing a little bit too hard. We have seen him do very well in the wet previously, so not entirely sure why he's struggling as much as he is this time. Aphrodoc's getting past Slick in the Ferrari fairly easily, I may say, so Slick not entirely comfortable, and Aphrodoc's taking advantage of it. Will try and get as much of a run out of here as possible. In the meantime, Jarvis and IMTJ once again so close together, 3/10, 2/10 as they go into the Tamarillo chicane. So close together, so close to contact, but just not close enough for Jarvis. Jarvis, let's see if he can get a better line through the Villeneuve chicane. Does get a much better line through there, so should get a much better exit. Doesn't lose that 2/10 gap that he has been previously. Goes through Tosa and is only still 5/10 back. So Jarvis looks like he means business this run. How's it, Elf? Welcome to the stream and thank you for joining us. So Jarvis, 4/10 back from IMTJ as they head into Aquamanarale. This is a section of the track where he is generally faster than IMTJ. So let's see if he pulls even closer to the back of that Williams. Looks like he might be struggling a little bit with dirty air as the Williams just starts to drive defensively through Variante Alta, and 4/10 is still the gap. 6/10 suddenly, 7/10, but that is not bad heading down to the Ravazza. Just now he was sitting at 8 and 9/10. So let's see what Jarvis can do if he does manage to get a good exit out of the Ruatsa. Misses the apex a little bit, but IMTJ does get a snap of oversteer. 6/10 now, 7/10. Once again, that 7/10 gap at the beginning of the pit straight is what makes it difficult for Jarvis to pass as they head down towards the Tamburello chicane. 5/10 will probably get down to about 3/10. Doesn't this time, but maybe because he was braking a little bit harder, possibly trying to keep out of the gearbox of IMTJ and just making sure that he has a little bit more in the tank to be able to push later on. IMTJ missing the apex of the Villeneuve chicane this time, so IMTJ possibly starting to struggle a little bit, may have worn through his tires a little bit more. Jarvis, little snap of oversteer, but still going ahead. Sebi now going into the pits and letting Aphrodoc's pass on the pit straight. Looks like Sebi had a little bit of wing damage, so that is why he had to pop into the pits. Humid having quite a boring race out in front, 2.7 seconds up. So Humid very definitely stamping his authority on the race, showing that he can race in the wet. Let's hope he gets all the way through to the end. He has been having a good season so far, but I'm sure he will be looking for that win. Jarvis, on the other hand, will be doing everything he can to get past IMTJ this time. These three are the top three in the championship, but normally they are in the reverse order: Jarvis, IMTJ, and then Humid. So an exact reversal, but let's see if that lasts too much longer. Jarvis only 2/10 back this time. It looks like he is getting a good slipstream from IMTJ and heading down towards the Tamburello chicane. Looks to the outside. IMTJ defending incredibly well, following just a single line through that section, which is perfectly legal. Does take it a little slowly, but not moving aggressively across the track, and so that is a perfectly valid defense. Jarvis losing a little bit of time through the Villeneuve chicane again, so IMTJ may have been previously saving some ERS, saving some tires, and now is able to defend a little bit better from Jarvis's attacks. IMTJ taking a very odd line through there, but it does seem like it worked out for him. 7/10 between him and Jarvis as they go through Aquamanarale, but that looked like a very badly missed apex, and that brings Jarvis right on top of IMTJ. This is one of the places where you can possibly look at, oh, that is contact between the two of them. IMTJ managing to keep it going straight. Jarvis losing a little bit of time as he loses a little bit of downforce from that contact. So Jarvis 7/10 back, may be a little annoyed with IMTJ for coming across the line as late as he did, but that's closing the door and is just about legal. For the most part, it would have to be seen whether he changed his line in the braking zone or not. So heading down through the pit straight, Jarvis giving IMTJ a little bit of space, 8/10 back, not pulling up nearly as much as he did previously, but still within that second gap that makes him very much a threat to the Williams ahead. So as we stand, Humid 1 second, Humid in first place rather, IMTJ in second, 4 seconds back, having to defend so hard from Jarvis, who is just under a second back from him. Melo 2.6 seconds back, so this pair has lost about 2 seconds from Humid and to Melo. Venom 3.5 seconds back from Melo, so that's not ideal for Venom, for the other Mercedes. Putty 7.6 seconds back from Venom, lost about 3 seconds to Venom, so Venom is looking like he is pushing a little bit as well. Moz 7 seconds back from Putty, and the rain looks like it is starting to come down a little bit harder. I wonder if that will push them towards the full wet tires, and if anyone is going to gamble. You can see a little bit of standing water on the outside of the track, off the racing line now, so this is an interesting call. You can come in for full wet tires a little bit early, suffer for a lap or two, but then have a massive advantage as everyone else has to then pit a little bit later. So let's see if anyone does start looking at the pits for full wet tires. We will keep the tires up just to see if anyone does. Sebi and D2A1, if they do need to go to full wets, will probably be the worst affected, as they have already pit for new intermediate tires. So as it stands, Humid, IMTJ, Jarvis, Mellow and Venom your top 5, Putty, Moz, Boosted, Aphrodox and Slick your top 10, Sebi and D2A1 your top 12. The only DNF so far is Deadpool, and you can see a lot of standing water now on the track. This is one of those situations where the people are seriously going to have to consider those intermediate tires. I do believe Humid is coming up on D2A1 to lap him once again. So D2A1 not having a good race, but still in the race. If there are more DNFs, he does still have the chance of points. Humid getting a massive snap of oversteer there. So this is looking more and more wet all the time. So let's see if Humid decides that he needs to come in. Looks like he was very unsettled across those curbs. Does not come in. So is anyone going to come in? IMTJ goes past, Jarvis goes past, Mello goes past. Venom goes into the pits, so it looks like Venom is going to go onto those full wet tires and will be the first to try it. Putty not going in. Moz coming through the Ravazza. Looks like he's going very slowly, so maybe feeling like these intermediate tires are not working for him, but goes past the pits nevertheless. Boosted. Looks he's ducking into the pits as well. Aphrodox is going past. Slick in the Ferrari is still coming up to the Ravazza. So back to the front. Humid has now cleared the back marker of D2A1, who is possibly 2 laps down. I'm not sure if the graphic is actually telling us everything right now. So Humid goes through Aqua Minerale. Let's see, he seems to be stable on the exit, but as he gets to the top of the hill, the car jiggles a little bit with a little bit of oversteer. Going into the Alta chicane, this is where it's so easy to lose traction on the exit, and you can see just that car is not quite as settled as it was earlier in the race. IMTJ and Jarvis not as close as they have been, so possibly also feeling the lack of traction as they go round the track. D2A1 ghosting obviously is on, so but does still get out of the way and gets onto the gravel. Not an ideal line to get out of the way, but Humid is now going into the pits, followed by TJ and Jarvis. You can see how wet it is as TJ locks up entirely. So it looks like everyone has decided to go into the pits to get rid of those intermediate tires. So let's see if Venom has made the right decision by going onto them a little bit early. Putty keeps going. Putty deciding that he is comfortable on the intermediate tires, possibly hoping that he can still keep going a little bit quicker. Venom's gamble to go onto the wet tires early does not appear to have paid off. Oh wait, no, he has managed to pass Moz, but I think he was a little bit higher up, so those wet tires only just now coming into the necessary window. So Venom losing a couple of positions, although that may just be because we still have a couple of intermediate runners on the track. Porty being the highest of them in the McLaren, and Afrodox in the Alfa Romeo, deciding that he wanted to keep those intermediate tires rather than throwing them away immediately. And it looks like Venom, with the warmed up wet, is coming straight up to the back of Afrodox. Moz 21 seconds back from Venom, so Moz not getting a good pit stop, possibly having some wing damage, but dropping back quite far. Humid at the moment is currently in net P1, so Vibe and Esports having a very different track day for the two of them. Humid out in net P1 because Porty will have to pit at some point to get rid of those intermediate tires. Slick in the Ferrari comes into the pits and retires. I wonder if he has some floor damage or something that's not possible to repair, but Slick coming into the pits, retiring into the pits. It does look like his car has decided to try and come out with a bot, so that is unfortunate for him, but that is the end of the race for the second Ferrari. Humid in the meantime is 4.6 seconds ahead of IMTJ, not losing any time in the pits. IMTJ and Jarvis fighting once again. Jarvis 3/10 back from IMTJ, now on the full wet tires, and that is exactly why you need to be very careful on the full wet tires when following someone. Loses it, and Mello has now come within striking distance of Jarvis. Jarvis will be a little rattled from that snap of oversteer, and Mello is now only 3/10, 2/10 back from Jarvis. This is not a good place to pass through the Piratella, but there is an opportunity into Acqua Minerale, as we saw earlier. Not quite close enough going through Acqua Minerale. Jarvis bottoming out a little bit through that corner, and Mello definitely looking to pass his Point One Esports teammate. So Mello and Jarvis currently the closest on track, after Jarvis losing that traction and losing so much time to IMTJ. He was 3/10 behind, he's now 3.3 seconds behind. So that snap of oversteer was a 3-second mistake, as Mello now is looking at the slipstream of his esports teammate, heading down towards the Tamburello chicane. Is he going to try it? It does not look like it. Goes to the outside, looking to just get a decent line through there. Gets a very good line through that turn 4. Jarvis trying to race a little bit defensively. Once again, struggling through the Villeneuve chicane. So Jarvis does not go well through the Villeneuve chicane and misses the apex of Tosa as Mello hits it. So Mello, once again, within 0.5 of a second of his esports teammate as they head down towards Piratella. And this will be a good battle if it keeps going the way that Jarvis's battle with IMTJ went. Humid, in the meantime, is keeping his position out at front. Looks like he managed to get a 3/10 advantage through that last little section of the track. So Humid 4.7 seconds up from IMTJ. Jarvis 3.5 seconds back after that little moment of his. 3/10 back to Mello, who is now looking at going into the Ravazza double left-hander. Oh, that is so close. Let's see if he can keep that traction, if he can keep that gap as low as he has. That's actually right on board as we go 4/10 down as they come out there. Looks like Jarvis did get a little bit of a better exit, but Mello does have a lot of ERS, burns a little bit of it, but not enough to get alongside heading into the Tamburello chicane. So we'll have to wait until the next passing opportunity. However, as we've seen before, Jarvis does seem to struggle with the Villeneuve chicane. So let's see if Mello decides that he will do something heading down towards Tosa. It's a very short straight, but it is possible if you get a good enough exit out of the Villeneuve chicane. Mello not getting that exit this time. So it is likely to be a wait until the next lap before he can try again. Venom, our 5th place runner, having quite a quiet race, to be honest. 2.2 seconds down, Potty 9 seconds behind. Moz only 15 seconds back from Potty now. So Moz was sitting at about 20 seconds back from the guy ahead, but is now 15 seconds. I do believe Potty was up in 1st place and pitted, so and dropped down to there. So Moz can look at that if he is able to push a little bit, but as we saw in quali, he was not entirely comfortable in the car, and you might find that the wet has actually put him off a little bit. He does not seem to be losing time, but he doesn't seem to be gaining too much time either. Meanwhile, in the back, we have Aphrodoc's 7/10 back from boosted. So Aphrodoc's, oh, that is Moz. Moz really not comfortable in that car in the wet. That Aston Martin going wide. Boosted looks like he got out of the way of Aphrodoc's, obviously feeling like he is a little bit faster and deciding that that's not his race and doesn't want to fight it too hard. In the meantime, Mello and Jarvis have once again gone down the pit straight down towards the Tamburello chicane and once again have kept position. Mello 4/10 back, going through the Villeneuve chicane. So Aphrodoc's up into 7th position, boosted up into 8th, Moz dropping back to 9th position, but not dropping back from boosted, so he will be able to start fighting for that position again. Obviously every point counts, so in 9th position you get 2 points, and those 2 points can make all the difference in the world, as we saw at the end of last season. There were a couple of situations where we had only a couple of points gap, and so every single point counts, especially when you look at the team game as well. Aphrodoc's now getting another 3-second penalty, so let's actually have a look at the penalties now. We have IMTJ sitting on 3-second penalties, so Jarvis doesn't actually need to pass IMTJ, he just needs to catch up once again into that 3-second window. If he can do that in the next 11 laps, he will actually get that 2nd place. IMTJ obviously needing to do exactly the opposite and keep Jarvis further behind. That might also be why Mello hasn't tried as hard to try and pass Jarvis. Mello with the 3-second penalty as well, so Jarvis with the best chance out of the point one esports guys of getting a good podium, and once again now is within 3 seconds of IMTJ. So Jarvis deciding he is going to push, Mello dropping a little bit back, and I wonder if that's given Jarvis the confidence to push a little bit harder through the corners now that his teammate is not hounding at his heels. Venom 6 seconds of penalties, so he will have to keep that in mind when he looks at his finish. Potty behind 12 seconds back, and Potty has disconnected from the session, so the AI that's going to take over from Potty while he tries to reconnect to the game is only a 65% AI, so Potty will start dropping back and Aphrodoc's will probably start catching. So Venom, a lot of the pressure off Venom, and he can then focus on his own race as well. Aphrodoc's now has a lot of work to do. 16 seconds to catch up to Potty and then 6 seconds to make up beyond that if he wants to make up a position from this point. He also has to try and get out of range of boosted, 1.3 seconds behind, and Moz 1.8 seconds behind. Mello is now practically in the gearbox of Jarvis ahead of him, but gets a snap-off oversteer coming out of the Ravazza, which puts him just a little bit further back. As we've seen in the full wets, 5/10 back at the beginning of the straight is not close enough to really try anything into the Tamburello chicane. So once again, Mello having to settle for that 4th place position and leave Jarvis to keep ahead. As we were saying, boosted is within 3 seconds of Aphrodoc's, and Moz is within 1.5 seconds of boosted. So as long as Moz can keep within the 6 seconds second gap of Aphrodoc's, he will climb at least 1 position, and if he can catch up to boosted, who is now 1.5 seconds ahead of him, he can also climb up to 7th position. So although they are fighting for 8th and 9th on the track, Boosted and Moz are actually fighting for 7th position at this point. But if they fight too hard, they will fall back a little bit, and that may give them enough of a gap to Aphrodoc's so that Aphrodoc's 6 seconds of penalties don't come into play. Melo looks like he backed out a little bit out of the Alto chicane, so I wonder if that's where he's losing his time to his esports teammate, and doesn't take a decent line through the Ravazza. So Melo not getting a good third sector, and I think that is why he is struggling so much to catch up to Jarvis ahead of him. A little bit of lag there, and resets to 5/10, but it looks like he is a little bit closer at the end of the straight this time than he was on the previous run. Moz did not have a great quali session. It didn't look like he was entirely in control of the car. This is a very technical track with a lot of traction zones that that can spit you out very quickly, and I think he was struggling with a little bit of oversteer while running through quali. So he did start quite far down, and then obviously with the wet coming in as well in the mixed conditions, I think the setup just does not agree with him on this track. It's very common with this track. It's one of those, unfortunately. And Moz looks like he is just on the edge of that 6 seconds to Aphrodite. Aphrodite 8.3 seconds to Potty ahead. So Aphrodite has made up about 4. I think it was 4 seconds to Potty at the moment. So he will get through past that that bot at some point soon as well. Which will obviously add to the complexity of that little section of the track. Moz now outside of that 6 second gap to Aphrodite. Aphrodite looks like he might actually be pushing quite hard now. So Aphrodite's deciding it is close enough to the end of the race that he can push a little bit harder. 0.1 guys currently sitting in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Melo is actually joining us for the first time this race, so it's good to see another player of decent caliber coming out of 0.1, and definitely are looking very strong this race. So it's good to see that, and hopefully Moz has a better next race, and Viben can actually then fight them a little bit closer. The last couple of races, Moz has actually looked very strong, so it is quite odd that he is as far back as he is in this race. But as I said, it is a very technical track, and some people just cannot get it right, and it's just one of those things, really. Especially this corner here, the Acqua Minerale, and it looks like we have a Ferrari that's spun. That will be D2A1 coming out of the Villeneuve chicane. Doesn't look like he's got any damage, so it looks like it's just a spin on his own. Didn't go into the wall. So D2A1 losing more time to the rest of the guys. Humid currently in first place from Viben Esports, IMTJ in second in the Williams, Jarvis, Mello and Venom all from 0.1 Esports, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Potty from OC, I cannot for the life of me remember their org name. Unfortunately, I will double check it before next time so I remember it. But Porty from OC currently sitting in 6th place after such a good poly, possibly making a bad strategy call, and that's why he's dropped back a couple of positions from when he started. Aphrodite, oh right, and of course Potty did have some connection issues, and you can see he is ghosted there as Aphrodite is coming up to the back of him and will go straight through him. So Aphrodite going up into 6th position, or will go up into the 6th position once he gets past the ghost. Boosted in 8th, Moz from Viben Esports in 9th position, Sebi in 10th, D2A1 from the Korea Gaming League in 11th position. Not having a great race, not having a great time on this track even before the rain hit. Slick in the other Ferrari DNF'd a couple of laps ago, and Deadpool had a run-in with turn 4 quite early in the race, the other of the OCE sports guys. So Mello is now 1 second back from Jarvis, possibly pulling back a little bit, seeing that it's 6 laps from the end of the race. May have also pushed his wet tires a little bit too hard, following as closely as he did. It would have heated them up a little bit further than it would be ideal, and that can lead to all sorts of issues going forward. Your tires do wear out quite a lot more if you're running close behind another racer. So Aphrodite 21 seconds behind Venom at the beginning of this lap. Now only has gained 2 tenths. So Afronox finding a turn of speed, he has a lot of time to make up to Venom. So I don't think he's going to make it unless Venom does make a mistake. But don't rule it out. This wet weather can be incredibly treacherous, especially if it starts drying up in the last couple of laps. We have 5 laps to go before the end of the race, but that is not too long for the track to dry up, although the rain does not look like it is showing any signs of letting up. So let's see how the guys do towards the end of the race as their wet tires start to burn up, with following behind each other so closely, especially Mello and Jarvis following each other so closely. Those tires are going to start burning up of Mello's, but he still looks like he wants that position from his point 1 teammate. 5 tenths back at the Ravazza. The first of the Ravazza is coming out of the second. Looks like we have a... That's not a back marker. So Jarvis looks like he is actually starting to make up a little bit of time to IMTJ. IMTJ consistently in the shot now. Jarvis 2 seconds back, and you can see the time falling. So I wonder if IMTJ has pushed his tires a little bit too hard and is starting to struggle with traction, or whether it's just Jarvis feeling a little bit more comfortable with the full wet conditions, and Mello not quite as on his gearbox as he was before. So let's keep an eye on that gap between Jarvis and IMTJ. 1.8 seconds at lap 28. It's not unheard of for him to be able to make up those 2 seconds before the end of the race, especially if he has saved up a little bit of ERS. I'm not going to go on board with him just so that we don't actually spoil it and give away information about his ERS levels to IMTJ if IMTJ is watching or he has an engineer watching. Ooh, that is a massive snap going through Aqua Minerale by Mello. So Mello falling back even further, pushing very hard. IMTJ getting another 3-second penalty. So that will put him back behind Mello. So IMTJ, that penalty putting him behind, or putting him net behind Mello, possibly. D2A1 has retired from the session. Looks like he has gone into the pits and retired there. So I wonder if... It looks like that is the Ferrari pit. Yeah, there he's coming out. So yeah, the D2A1 in the other Ferrari retiring from the session, as his teammate did as well. So the Ferrari's not comfortable in this weather and deciding to drop out. How's it, Suffix? Welcome to the chat. And yeah, the point 1 guys doing incredibly well. If they push a little harder, they should be able to catch up to IMTJ and make sure that they get his position as well. Those 6 seconds of penalties are enough that he should drop back behind Mello at the moment, especially with Mello keeping so close behind Jarvis, but will need to be careful of it. You can see how unsteady that car is. I do believe those tires are starting to fall off a little bit from following so hard behind his esports teammate. But 3 seconds now, the gap between him and IMTJ. So with that 3-second penalty and IMTJ's 6-second penalty, they are actually fighting. Mello and IMTJ are actually fighting for position, even though they are 3 seconds apart. So 2 laps until the end now, and Boosted now is the latest person to get a 3-second penalty for track limits. Moz, that means that Moz still needs to make up about 15 seconds if he wants to get up, push up another position, although he does have an easy position ahead of him in the form of Potty. Potty in the McLaren obviously having a connection issue and having to drop out a little earlier, so that is actually a 65% bot, which should be fairly easy for Moz to pass. However, with only 2 laps to go, it is unlikely that Moz would be able to push up 3 seconds beyond Potty. So if Moz does want to make it, he will have to push incredibly hard. It does look like he is coming up to the back of that bot, but he is going to have to push incredibly hard on the last lap of the, or in the last couple of laps of the race, to try and get out of that 3-second gap that would be required for his penalty. Meanwhile, Melo has decided he wants that position once again and is now only 3/10 behind as they go into the Ravazza, dropping back a little bit going through the first one, but coming out of the second one 5/10 once again, but making up good time, gets a very good exit out of that corner. We'll ride on board with him. You can see he's used up a lot of his ERS over the last couple of laps. Putty managing to rejoin at possibly the worst time. So Moz dropping back a little bit. I wonder if that was because of a sudden unghost of... No, Putty is still ghosted. So Putty rejoining but not unghosting before Moz takes him. And Sebi also right on top of him. Putty still ghosted. Sebi taking the position as well. But Sebi now fighting against Moz. So this is actually a fight for position. Sebi getting past Moz. And that just takes Moz's day from bad to worse as Sebi gets past in the Alpine. Sebi has not had a good race, and you can see the massive snap of oversteer as he comes out of that, but definitely a little bit more comfortable than Moz in from Vibe and Esports, unfortunately. So Putty back in the race. Looks like he's still ghosted, so his connection not 100% still. But if that is the case, there is a chance that he might still keep the position, depending on whether he unghosts before the end of the race. Humid, meanwhile, is out in front, 6 seconds up at the moment, just running his own race, only has to take it home onto the last lap. So we'll ride on board with him for the last lap. Taking it nice and easy over the curves. You can hear he's not accelerating too hard, just bringing it home. Doesn't need to push it too hard. Let's see, there's no chance of the fastest lap at this point. He does actually have it from the soft tire running at the beginning. So Humid sitting with 119.930. That point for the fastest lap will be his, as there's no chance of getting it at this point in the race with the wet. As long as he brings it home, he'll get 26 points towards his championship tally. IMTJ is in second place, Melo in third, so Melo having passed Jarvis sometime in the last couple of laps, but Jarvis, will actually go up to second position as long as he can stay within that 3-second gap of Melo. It's possible that Jarvis and Melo actually switched positions to allow Melo a cleaner run towards IMTJ with his 6-second penalty. So Humid coming through the last corner and taking a well-deserved win. Loses it a little bit going around that last corner, possibly messing around a little bit. Humid getting the win. IMTJ in third position, fourth position. So IMTJ's 6-second penalties taking their toll, dropping him down to fourth position. Jarvis in second, Melo in third place. Venom will be the next across the line. Let's see where he ends up. Will probably keep fifth position. Aphrodoc's quite far back. So Venom will probably keep that fifth position. Boosted too far back to cause any sort of problem. But Sebi is not ghosted. For a moment he looked ghosted. Sebi looks like he is close enough to the back of Boosted to be able to make this finish. So will Sebi actually make it up to 7th place? Let's watch as he comes up to the line. Sebi stays in 8th position, just behind Boosted, 2/10 back. That is unfortunate for Sebi, not a good day for him, but definitely better than it could otherwise have been. Melo with the driver of the day, very well deserved, I feel. That was an incredible race by him. So there it is at the end of the day. We have Humid from Vibrant Esports out in first position, getting the point for fastest lap as well. Point one coming through in second and third, Jarvis and Mello. IMTJ in fourth position. Venom from point one as well in fifth position. Aphrodox getting up to sixth after his bad start, boosted in seventh place. Sebi in eighth, not running as well as he normally does in the wet. Moz from Viben Esports in ninth position. Putty in 10th, although with his power having gone out halfway through the race, he will probably not get credited with that position because most of the race was done as a bot. D2A1 in 11th place, Slick in 12th, and Deadpool in 13th. Everyone from Potty down will probably be considered as a DNF. And so, although Potty was in the points, he will probably not score any due to that early disconnect. And that brings us to the end of today's race. Thank you so much, everyone who joined us. It was great to have you. It was great to see you supporting the guys, Suffix and Viven Universe. Thank you so much for the shout outs to your racers, and we'll see you all next time.